guys and gals, here we are in the shop with today's project, Medusa, the two-door Malibu Wagon. So what I got here is a complete custom car. I'd like to think so. We're going to continue in that theme with the hood, okay? You can buy a ton of different aftermarket hoods for these cars. The aftermarket has really picked up a lot since I started this build, which there's a lot of options. But here's the thing about me. I like being unique, hence a two-door wagon. So I'm not just going to buy some off-the-shelf hood for it. I'm going to do what I've learned over the years, take what you got, make something cool. So what I got here is what's left of our 1971 Chevelle project, the Crown Jewel. It's a good friend of mine's car. And unfortunately, when we got that car, the body was just ravaged. So we ended up having to replace the entire car. If you're not familiar with that, go back and check the videos out. They're pretty cool. So what we ended up doing, instead of scrapping this beautiful hood, we're going to take our favorite part of it, the cowl, and we're going to make our own custom old stock, new stock, aftermarket hood. So we're going to get this set up here. We'll click you back on and show you what we got in mind. All right, guys and gals, can you stand it? Look how awesome that looks. It's almost like it was meant to be on the car. That is sweet. So there you go. It's just another example of take what you got, use what you have, let your little noodle get you there. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this fitted up on the car. And as you can see here, I'll bring you in. I mean, that lays down pretty nice. Follows the contour of the existing hood. Pretty nice. I even like the way it comes over that windshield there. The only thing we do have, if you see the front here, and get you set up. See the front here, we got a little air gap issue, okay? And full disclosure, I did fit this on here. I started this project, I got excited, and just, I couldn't help myself. So, as you can see the back, looks pretty natural. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get you set up, and I'm going to show you how I continue to get this hood mocked up, and then we're going to put it on the car. Now you see here, I got a body line from the Chevelle hood, and I have my Malibu hood. Has two different body lines. So my idea here, I'm going to take this body line as the bottom seam, because there's a front nose piece that goes on this car yet. So I have to be mindful of that with these body lines. But I'm thinking I'll be able to work this hood down and get it to lay out nice. But if you see when I push this front down, that makes that do other stuff too. So we're going to have to keep that in mind when we start attaching this hood. Now, I will tell you, I've learned over the years, guys and gals, when you do custom work like this and you cut a hood and you're welding on a hood, that's a big flat surface. You do not want to heat soak these. So we'll just put that out there before we even get started. All right, so we'll get you set up here. We'll get this front figured out, how we want to go about it. And we'll start getting this baby laid on here. All right, guys and gals, I'm going to show you a little bit of ingenuity. So here we go. As you can see here on the front, this is the replicating the Chevelle hood, the 70 to 72 Chevelle hood. As you can see here, my Malibu has a different design in the front end. So here's the cool way I found to make that transfer. So I got me some scrap metal, okay? Doesn't have to be aluminum. And you see I blasted a hole in there, all right? Bent me a 90. So if I want this consistent distance all the way across the front here, I'm going to take my little cheater tool. I'm going to use the front of the hood. Now watch what happens when I go across here. We're going to transfer the shape of the front of the hood to our cowl section. That way, when I cut this out, guys and gals, it'll be the same distance the whole way across. You like here my little light strips are in the way? I can just move them over, finish marking that. Maybe. Just take them off. See how quick and easy that was? Now, yeah, we could have went through there with a tape measure and done that, but once I cut that off there, you guys and gals will see that was the easiest way to possibly get that accurately marked. Let me cut that. We'll click you back on and get it put back on. All right, I get that back on there. There's another little tip for you. If you're gonna place and remove an item a bunch of times, give yourself some reference points. That way it's easier to find where you were, so you know what you did made sense. So there you go, you can see. All right, here's my original mark where it was. This is what we cut it to. Now you can see how much smoother that looks in the front. Now, you'll notice I got a square edge here. I don't like that. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to our little toolbox here. We're gonna grab another fancy tool. All right, a socket. All right. Yeah, I know, you thought I was coming with something neat. We're just gonna use our socket so we have the same design from side to side. You know, you might have to find what socket best fits your situation. I'm gonna give this one a shot. If I don't like it, I'll grab a bigger one. But I think this is gonna do. Just don't want any real sharp points is all. Because remember, we're gonna weld this to this hood. All right, so we'll get that cut. Clean these edges up. We'll start getting this guy attached. We'll click you back on. All right, guys and gals, now you can kind of see there's a flat hood. I tell you, that makes a difference. That'll give us a little bit of height under the hood we need without impeding our view and giving the car a sinister look. All right, guys and gals, let me get my welder set up and we'll get this thing going. Click you back on when we're ready. All right, guys and gals, we're gonna take our MIG welder here and we're gonna start getting this thing laid down. Remember, guys and gals, safety first. Now see, as I push this, how this hood moves, you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to go pushing this around to where you're causing indentations in your hood. Find the happy medium. Make it live there. Now you're going to want to let this cool in between. Because the last thing you want to do is go through here and warp this hood all up. Use our little tool here. We're just applying gentle pressure to get that down where we want it. And tacking her into place. Now a lot of times you'll see guys come in here and hammer this stuff out. I don't really like to hammer on hoods that much unless I can put a dolly behind it, because if you're just beating down on it, you're just beating a dent in it. You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna go around here, we're gonna keep tacking this on here. We're gonna take our sweet time so this thing stays nice and flat and get this all stitched on. We'll click it back on when we're ready. Alright guys and gals, as you can see, I went through there and I left plenty of space between my spot welds. Now we're going to let this completely cool before I even think about coming back and putting any more in there. You can see these hoods, they're thin. That's thin sheet metal, okay? Stretched over in a skeleton underneath. Now, a lot of you are going to wonder, why did you weld that like that? Well, I'll tell you why. With this car, in the future, we have plans of making this a one-piece steel tilt front end. So what will end up happening is this will end up just being a skin to an internal skeleton that we build later on and attach our sheet metal panels to. So what that means is I'll go underneath here and I'll cut the underside of that hood out so I get my hood clearance that I'm looking for. There is a reason besides aesthetics that we put this on here. Alright, so we're going to let that cool. We're going to go around, keep welding it, and we'll click it back on when we got something neat to show you. Alright guys and gals, you can see we got this thing started stitching it on, waited in between, came back, tried to fill it in. Now we're going to take our opportunity here with our flat disc. Now you can start to see we're getting that transition in there. Now I will warn you, when you're using grinders, okay, this is why I especially like these flap discs, because you see it's individual pieces of paper. It helps keep your metal and stuff cool. Last thing you want to do, guys and gals, we're going through all this trouble to make this custom piece. We don't want to have to spend a week doing body work just to fix what we worked on putting it together. So there you go. We'll save you the time of watching the rest of this. We'll get this all welded up and we'll click it back on when she's all done. Alright guys and gals, not quite welded completely, but got it close. I wanted to show you. This is why we take our time, okay? As you can see, that hood is still nice and flat in there. Alright, we don't have a whole lot of whoopies and whoopies and all that good stuff, because we took our time in there. Man, does that look slick or what? Almost like we're looking at a Chevelle, but we're looking at a Malibu. Thingy, what do you think, bud? Yeah, Thingy likes it. All right, we'll get this wrapped up. We'll click you back on when we're all done. Boom, chicken. Another custom piece for Medusa. I don't know, guys and gals. What do you think? I'm digging it. Alright guys and gals, back with Medusa. Check this out. Look how much paint is on this hood. Okay? And you guys can understand that that wasn't a new hood that I cut up. That was the original hood. Somebody had some fancy green paint and looks like brown stripes on this guy, or it was green, brown, primer gray, two different blues. Oh yeah. Yep. As you can tell, I get impatient. I can't wait to see this thing all one shade of sheet metal. All right, we'll get it done here. Click it back on. Let's check it out. Teeny, I'd like to explain why your monster truck tire's flat. Okay. All right, guys and gals, here we are. Back on Medusa. Got the hood all stripped down. What do you guys and gals think? Got an afternoon wrapped up in this. Let's recap on what we had. We had a G-body Malibu hood. We had a 70 to 72 Chevelle hood that was totally wasted, and we put the two together. We ended up getting ourselves a pretty cool looking hood, I'd like to think. Let's get down here so you can see. And as you can see, we gained some height in our hood, and that was one of our main goals, not only to stylize the hood we had, but to give us some under the hood clearance. Now, like I said, guys and gals, we're going to go back And we're gonna make this whole front end a one-piece front end. So a lot of you might be wondering, why didn't you just use the Chevelle hood itself and cut it off to match what you needed, since you're gonna weld it all up anyhow? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I haven't fully decided, all right? I still might want this hood to open normally, but then be able to tilt with the front end. So I wanted to do it this way, so I left myself the option down the road. Okay, this is going to be a long-term project. As you can see, last time this poor gal was out was '09. All right. So I think what we're going to do with Miss Medusa, we're going to make her a Monday project. Every Monday, we're going to do something to this poor car that's been sitting for so long. Just, you know, a little inspiration. Get out here, work on it, show it that we still love it. And got a lot of time wrapped up in this gal. And a lot of you guys and gals out there might have projects that the same faith is, you know, similar faiths. So maybe if nothing else, we can inspire you to knock the dust off of your forgotten project. Yep. Maybe because it's the only shiny thing on it, but I dig it. All right, guys and gals, you know why we do it. For the love of hot rods and horsepower. Go out there and get yourself a project. Start enjoying it. We'll catch you on the next one. What is it, Teeny? Yes, your tire's flat, Bob.